Well,
Hi, Brianna.
Hey, how are you doing?
Doing well. You have a glow to you.
you do. Oh,
Odd lighting in my room.
it's the new mother glow.
Yes, it is.
Well, I will share my screen and I'll bring up our agenda.
Is it in the, is there a, oh, I see the link.
Man, I have a lot of windows open. Okay, here it is. Okay, so I wanted to make sure it was okay that we used our agenda and then turn that into our minutes, and we didn't need to keep separate copies of the agenda and then the agenda as it translates into our minutes. And Jeff said, no, we don't have to, so this is fine.
Great.
So
Just makes it so much easier.
yeah. X. Sharon said she can't come today. Jessica said she couldn't. I didn't hear from Carl. Oral, you are here. You know what happened with Linda is I found out that I had been inviting Elle Crawford and she's LJ Crawford. So I just sent her, as you saw, Brianna, invitation. And I'm not sure if Jeff is on board yet with all his new responsibilities. So I think maybe next month he will be joining us. So that will be great. What I did is I kind of changed the look of our agenda so we could make it align with our new goals. So I took out the objectives at the top and then just put the links to the meeting documents in. And here's our meeting agenda. So would anybody care to pray for the meeting today?
I'm still half asleep. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, I will. So, dear Lord, thank you for bringing us together. Although we are few, we are mighty. And please allow us to come together today and focus on being the best we can and what is needed for our School of Nursing. You've given us so many gifts, and we thank you for that. And thank you for giving us the strength and the motivation and the courage that we need to face day-to-day living and our work here on our committee. In that we pray in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Does anybody have any specific prayers? Okay.
Maybe a 5-hour stretch of sleep at once.
Okay.
I can pray for that on my own. It's okay. I pray for that every night.
Okay, and then would anybody want to do the minutes today? Transcribe?
I can take notes.
Okay, perfect. We have who wants to volunteer to record, so we should say two. Okay. Okay, thank you, Brianna. And then I don't think we have a quorum, so let's hold off on approving the November 19th agenda. Actually, why don't I send that out and we can do an electronic vote.
Oh.
And if we do, if people can do the electronic votes on the minute meetings, maybe we could do that more often. I know it's tough for get this meeting going at 7 o'clock, and if that's kosher, maybe that would be something we could do. just send them out after our meeting.
I think it's a good idea. Just if we have a consistent way of doing it electronically every month, then it shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah. Okay, so today's notes, what I thought we would do is review and approve the goals that we had worked on in November. And I know we had made some notes on the old objectives and goals, and I said that I would take those and do all the corrections. So I've done that, and we can look at those today. And then also start working on some of those goals, and some of those goals would be adopting the scorecards. So Brianna is back from maternity leave. Yay. We got Jeff exchange for Pamela. Sharon's off in somewhere today with her husband. And he is looking for a new job. So good luck with that. And we're praying for you, Sharon, and your husband. And see, Jessica she has an exciting DNP project going on where she's looking at simulation for end of life. I think it's in the pediatric population. So she's actually on the East Coast, looking at somebody doing a simulation in the end of life care in pediatrics, which I think is just incredible. So moving on to our first vote. Well, we can't vote, but let's look at our new committee goals. If we click on the link there, Oral, I know you'll be on your computer pretty soon. You can pull this up. So we have I broke it down. We have our objectives and we have our goals. So the committee objectives are first, to ensure high quality APU SON online learning experiences, to keep current with best practices and trends in online learning, to share online learning best practices and trends with the School of Nursing through educational offerings, to provide mentorship to School of Nursing faculty regarding best practices in online education, to provide support to emerging online programs, to facilitate online faculty collaboration between and within departments and schools, and to develop and facilitate an APU School of Nursing online teaching community. So those were the objectives. And then I thought to meet some of those objectives, our goals for 2019-2020 would be translating the OLC scorecards to our teaching practice. And we can't do it all at once. So I thought we could work on some small bite-sized chunks. One of those might be, one of those is course design. So we've already started on working on the templates for the different courses. And then the other one, I'll come back to this online course size. The C on this number 1C was to develop a training course for all School of Nursing faculty teaching online. So I think developing a training course is maybe too big, but we could develop parts of it. And so one of the things I thought that was some low-lying fruit would be working on the instructor role section of the Q-tip, or the quality course. What does that stand for? Quality course teaching and instructional principles. We'll look at it. I think that's what it is. So we'll just call it fondly the Q-tip. So that's one of the OLC scorecards. So in that scorecard, there's the instructor role, and that's the same as the faculty engagement. So that could be something we could work on this year. We've already started working on that. And then there's another section of the Q-tip, and that's just about the discussion section of online teaching. So that's another low-lying fruit where we could share best practices and discussions, and share rubrics. So I thought that would be a pretty easy one that we could do. And the second goal I thought we could do was create a repository to share our all the resources that we're coming up with. So we could either do it as we've talked about before as a Canvas course, or maybe ask Jeff about an intranet site. So those are some things we could work on.
You know, one thing we talked about before was just opening up our Canvas site that we have and doing learning modules in the Canvas site and having non-committee members added as, I don't know if we would add them as observers, or well, we want them to interact with them. So I don't know if we could add them as students, or if that's weird. Or
well, what I just found out is you can create a self-enrollment link, and so then they can self-enroll into the course as a student. So we could have that. I found that out because my students for my clinical were asking how to get into the blood-borne pathogen course, and so they didn't have a link to it. So I found out that in the course there's a self-enrollment link, and if a course is an online course is developed by clicking on create a new course and not by IMT, you can't add students to that course that you've created, or at least that's what happened to me recently when we were doing the Hal and Ned orientation. I wanted to create a Canvas orientation site, and I couldn't add the new students on as students. I had to create a self-enrollment link for them to enroll as students. So I think that would be a good option if we could just have people self-enroll when they're in the student role. Okay, here's our beloved little Q-tip. So quality course teaching and instructional practices.
Close enough.
I just want to go back to the agenda. So you'll see here one of the goals is recommend online course size based on course specific variables. So let's see. One of the things that if we jump down to this next item on here was translate the scorecards. One big announcement that I had was at the leadership meeting, and this is kind of going backwards, but at the leadership meeting, they did agree to adopt the OLC scorecards as the School of Nursing framework for online teaching. And you can bring that down to the next row there, Brianna. Perfect.
Yep. Oh, you already wrote it.
Right. And so another thing that kind of came up was the dean said we didn't even have to vote on this. This is what we were going to do. And she wanted our committee to work on translating these scorecards into our educational practices. But that was awesome. And this is really, we have so much good work that we can do, and we have leadership support for doing this. So I think our committee can really make a big difference in, the online teaching, the education we give our faculty, and the eventual outcomes, high quality of our online courses. Another thing that came up was I was on the AACN faculty blog, and there were people in there asking about, what's the ideal course size? And so there was a lot of back and forth. It's pretty interesting. Let's see if I can move you guys. I don't know if you guys subscribe to that. But every once in a while, there's some good things in there. So it's the AACN Member Community Digest, and somebody asked about appropriate class size for online RN BSN programs. And so the first person started this thread and had some papers in here about course size, and gave a little bit of history about where she works at California University of Pennsylvania, and said, you know, they were just doing maybe some cap at 35 for some courses that may, unless it had writing intensive, then it would maybe be a little bit lower. And then somebody from, let's see, Boston, I think that's Massachusetts College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences. And the only reason I know this is because my daughter's going there right now to become a PA. And then she had a really long response here and really went into that there's so many variables that might determine an online class size. So, you know, is the faculty expected to create content during the course? Is the faculty required to respond to each person and give, you know, meaningful feedback to each discussion post, including like references? What are the assignments? Is there an assignment? How many are there? And how, you know, how big are these assignments? So there really are tons of variables, making it so hard just to give a blanket number of people who, of class size for online courses. So one thing Lori Lang asked, she said, does the online committee have any recommendations for class size? And I was like, well, you know, look at what all of that we just read about all those variables. You know, how can
Highly variable.
Yeah, right. How can we just come up and say like, yeah, it should be 25 or how about 20? So I thought what we could work on over the next, you know, in the future was maybe looking at what these variables are, maybe doing some a review of the literature, just, you know, a little informal one, and then just coming up with some, let's see, online committee agenda, course size. And then maybe I just started this, you know, 5 minutes ago, but maybe say like, name the variables here, and then maybe come up with some kind of tool that we could say, you know, if a course is, you know, has a discussion posting every week and an assignment every week, or like our comprehensive exam is really writing intensive, maybe we could make recommendations based on these variables. So that's what, when we went into this goal here for our 2019-2020 committee goals, that was what I put in there, recommend online course size based on these course variables. So I think that would be some.
Sorry, I messed up some cords here. I don't know if you can hear me, but one of
Yeah.
my screens went blank.
Yeah, I can
and
hear you.
my mic got unplugged, and so I'm gonna mute myself and try and fix this.
Can you
'cause
hear
I can't
us?
hear you guys now, so I'll
Oh,
try and fix it.
well, we're recording, so go back and look at that.
And there really are a lot of variables to it because it depends on the type of class as well. As far as, I like your idea about if there are a certain amount of assignments or discussions per week, then X amount of students would be appropriate for that particular type of class, and kind of go from there.
Right. So I'm just going to type in, there's many variables, so difficult to have a sweeping number, sweeping recommendation. Maybe look, so we could maybe look at these variables and come up with some recommendations. And I don't know if everybody wants to be involved in that. I really feel like as when somebody is the chair of a committee, they end up doing a lot of the work, as Brianna will say. But I really think this committee could be different. I really think that we could all contribute so much to this and make such a meaningful impact. So I, I guess we can, what do you guys think that, should we maybe have like a subcommittee to kind of work on this, or should we all try to work on it? I don't know. I guess we can see who's interested in it. And, you know, this might be a really cool research project as well, where we come up with a tool and then test it. And we could do, you know, give the faculty a survey after and say, you know, how did you feel your workload was for this amount of students?
It does sound like a really good research project. I volunteer myself to be on this if you would like to join.
Yeah, I think that what we might want to do, because I know before we were kind of all doing everything, and sorry for looking over here when my camera's over here, because
That's okay.
Black, so it's a little awkward. But maybe what we can do, because I know we have several really important goals, is see if different people want to kind of spearhead different projects. Because I think we've all made good, had good input and made good suggestions and have a lot of interest. So, you know, the idea of a subcommittee is not a bad idea. But I think having those clear goals, mini goals, and like deliverables is a good idea. Because I know it's so easy. And I kept finding myself doing it, saying, okay, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And then the next meeting, I'm like, what did I say I was going to do last month? And now can I do them in the next 3 days before the next meeting?
Right.
So having some, you know, a good way to kind of keep up with that.
Yeah, I just spent the last 2 hours going back and looking at what I was supposed to do and then developing this agenda. So the kind of last minute things. But that's what the last minute is for, right? But I think, yeah, maybe we could have these committee goals, standardized look of online courses, have somebody work on that. We could have a committee, faculty engagement, and quality discussion and engagement in an online course. So those, we don't have to take them on all at once. Maybe this quality discussion and engagement could wait a little bit. What I did want to, let's see, I put in some of the articles that were mentioned in the in that blog about evaluating class size, and I just found another one here, so I will put the link to that.
I think combining the research we find and then our own personal experiences, especially within the confines of the School of Nursing, will be a really valuable tool. Especially for faculty who've never taught online that want to start. So giving them an idea of what to expect.
Oh, phew. I just thought I deleted all the minutes.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. So this might be some more reading we can do. Look at that about the online course size, and yeah, Brianna, you make some good points there about breaking it down into chunks here. But I think, you know, the main takeaway is really that the leadership wants us to work on this, and really is looking for some input. And I think that's great that they've supported using the scorecards as our framework.
When it sounds like it's given us enough autonomy to do some real work, to actually,
Right.
you know, get some things created and try them out and see what works and actually make some positive steps.
Right.
I know meetings, meetings always have the risk of talking about what we're going to do every month and then never actually getting to doing it. So I think that's one of our goals as a committee seems to be actually do those things.
Right.
Not just do it.
We'll get a Nike swish. Just do it.
Just do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So the quality scorecards are in our shared drive. Everybody should have access now to the shared drive. I guess as far as the agenda, that's like all I had was just putting the goals here and then talking about the scorecard. So I'm not sure what more you guys would like to talk about. I know when I was, the next thing on the agenda was standardize the look of online courses. And then I was gonna have Carl Reynolds and Pamela talk about, and Jessica has started this too, see where they are with, they were gonna bring this idea to their councils and ask, you know, what they thought they wanted to have in the template. So that was what I was going to have them report out on this week, or this month, but I guess we can put that, have that for next month.
Well, I'm building my brand new GradStats online course as we speak, and it's going to roll out in March. So I'd love to be in on the discussion at least.
Okay.
I don't know how much I can do beyond what I'm actually doing it. So mine is more implementation right now, but I'd love to know what they've got going on to discuss with them and make sure that I'm kind of keeping in line with the way things are going and we've been discussing. So I'm assuming Pamela's not working with us anymore. So
well, she said, she said she still wanted to work on trying to get this, the template going.
Oh, great.
So I think her and Jeff can work together on that. And Carl was going to bring his to the doctoral council. And then for the MSN template that we have, I do have a link here for people to self-enroll. So feel free to share that with anybody, because if you're a student in there, can't make any changes. So we can freely offer anybody to go in there and take a look at that. And Brianna, you might want to just look at that and see what kind of stuff you would like to use for your public health.
I think one thing too, that template, is that a 16-week template or an 8-week template?
16. Well, it doesn't really matter, because all it says is what each module or week should look like. So you would just, instead of having the 16 weeks, you would have 8 weeks.
Okay. Yeah, mine's going to be 8, but I remember looking at it and it did look very useful. So I'm kind of going to be morphing that with stats content I already have from undergrad and seeing how to kind of transition to 8 weeks. So having that, I think, to keep it consistent is really good. I'd already talked to Dr. Brash about having that consistency in the Canvas courses for the MPH program. But
Great.
that one is mostly face-to-face. So far, my 2 courses, the GradStats and the Healthcare Finance, are going to be the only online ones thus far. Mm-hmm. But I think it would be helpful, too, to have consistent, what's the term? Help me. Companion sites as well.
Okay.
So I think that would be really useful, because especially since a lot of the faculty, if they're new, are not going to have as much experience with Canvas, having a template for them as well. Like, this is what we generally think you might want to include in your companion site. These are some of the resources, upload your syllabus here. If you want to have online submissions of assignments and whatnot. Right. So.
Yeah, I think this graduate template could work as a companion, and then you just don't use the, remove any of these that you don't want there to be there. So what I think you should ask at your the public health is, so here we have the faculty instructions, and then this is unpublished, so students can't see this. And so you can put anything you want there for your faculty. And then we have the week 0 student resources. So these might be things that you could tailor to your public health. So there's, technology support, class lounge, ask your instructor, and then library and writing resources. And I just updated this so that it's APA 7. And then I put the handbook in there, practicum resources, online student resources. So those are all, you wouldn't have to, you could unpublish this for a course that's, you know, just a face-to-face. And then just each week kind of looking the same, where you have the introduction, the learning activities, reading, multimedia, discussion, assignments, and any reminders. So I just think if all the modules kind of look the same, I don't care how they look. This is what Katie Price, the instructional designer, set up. But I just think if we have across programs, all of the modules looking the same, that would be kind of helpful for students. And then the week 0, you know, whatever your students need, you can pop in there, and the faculty instruction, whatever you think your faculty need, you can put in there. So that's all really the template is.
Mm-hmm.
Other things that we could do is we could put the discussion when we're working on one of those goals about high quality discussion and engagement. We could go into this discussion and show people you know, what a discussion might look like. And I think there's a rubric in here. So, you know, there's no reason that we can't, this rubric would have to change from program to program, right? I think a discussion is a discussion. So usually, and I think, you know, as we read through best practices, you know, this is dictated by that. So it's not just coming from, you know, what we think is we should do, but it's really what, how you can best engage students and how they can learn the most through discussions. So
This is the first time I've seen this rubric, and I actually really like this, how you give for the initial post, sites to or more scholarly resources and examples from readings, course materials. So it kind of gives enough variation that it'll fit a variety of different scenarios.
yeah.
So it doesn't have to be, you know, research articles. It could be something straight from the course, or
Right. And then for the response, it says you have to use you have to have one reference, but it can't be the same that was in your initial reference. And I also asked them to post on different days. My students hated that, so I was like, you know, when I do your grading, I should be more strict about this, but I'm like, when I grade your discussions, I don't look at what the date was, except for on the initial post that you got it in by Wednesday. So you can do, you know, if it's really interfering with your work-life balance, then, you know, it's okay. But I think, you know, this can be something kind of we could put this into our Canvas site that we build for our resources, you know, as this, if you want to pull a rubric up, you can import this rubric.
and then once they have it, people can make changes as needed to the point structure or slightly adjust the instructions, because it'll resave it as its own and not,
Right.
it didn't change the original.
Yep. Another cool thing I found was that I could take a page from one of my courses and export it, or I put my page, one of the student resources, the library writing and library resources, I published it to the Commons. And then what I could do from there, and I'm not sure how I can get to that to show you, but then I could import my page into any class I was an instructor in. So that was some geeky fun I had.
I've never done that before, because I've imported whole courses, but trying to import just certain content is always a little tricky.
Yeah, I thought I saved it. I can't remember. Oh, here, Commons. Let's see. You go to Commons, and then let's see, writing. resources. Wow, there's a lot of resources. These are all free too, all these resources here.
I've never seen any of this.
I know, I just
I
discovered
didn't
it.
realize we could use this. Yeah.
There it is. So if I go to this page here, so I have library and this is public, and I can change the setting on it. And so what I can do is I could go import and download this page. And then I can, these are all the courses, I think, where I'm an instructor. And so I could go to GNRS template copy and import into the course. And then if I go back to that course, it's going to be in there as a page. And then I might have already imported it into here. So library and writing resources. So that's the one that I just imported into there. So now if you're, if you want to do an assignment or a discussion, you can add that page in there, or modules or resources. So that's really, I thought that was so cool how you could take things from the Commons and just import it into your course. And I was testing it with some other courses because I was like, is this going to wipe out the whole rest of my course? But all it does is it goes into the pages. I can't speak of, if you import a whole course into one of your courses or a whole module, how that works. I was just fooling around with the pages there.
How public does it have to be when you upload it to Commons? Can you make it less public, like only to certain people, or is it?
Yeah, I was able to choose. Nope, there's a thesis PowerPoint, somebody. So the details, let's see. So I only shared it with people with APU, but you could choose if it could be widely distributed or if you just wanted it within your institution. So that was some fun. And then, want me to share one other fun thing I did? Okay, so I integrated Flipgrid into my class. So what I did is I have an assignment here. You can't do Flipgrid in a discussion, but I did it as an assignment. And so I had them do the week 1 introduction. Introduce yourself to the class, and what they do is they go in and I guess I have to log in. And so I think it's this one, 12 videos. So I said a hello about myself, and then look at all my students went in and they did a little introduction. This one, I couldn't really hear her, but the rest of them were pretty good. And then the coolest thing, cooler than ever, you guys, watch this. You go to SpeedGrader. That student didn't do it. That's that quiet student. So it's right in here in SpeedGrader. So I just said, for one student, I actually did a little reply here and did a little video, but I wasn't looking so good that day, so I didn't do too many. So I just said, welcome to class. Thanks for your intro and tips. I spelled that wrong, but you can see right here.
Hi everybody, I'm Valerie. I'm currently in the FNP program. I've been a nurse for 3 years. I work on the med-surg floor at San Antonio Memorial Hospital in Banning, California. One of my hobbies
Can you hear her?
reading and spending time with friends.
Yeah, it's a little muffled, but it
before, and
it just might be your audio.
Yeah.
is that
I
So-
have them do the same thing, but I just do it in discussions and I have them record a video in whatever format they want or whatever. But I haven't worked with Flipgrid before. Is it really easy for them to get used to using?
I'll have to ask them. I don't know how it was on their end, but I didn't give any specific instructions and they all seem to be able to get into there. The only thing you have to do is if you go into your course, so this course I don't have Flipgrid yet, so I go to settings and it integrates with Canvas and you go to apps. Flipgrid. Oh, so it'll tell you how to do it here. So I have an account with Flipgrid already. So you just go through the instructions here. And then you add the app, and on the Flipgrid account that you've created, it gives you this information and then you add it. And then it comes up on here as one of the apps that you had. And I have a little video that I'll share with you about how to do it too. But I thought it was really cool, and we could, you know, use it for more things where, you know, you can maybe have a student watch like a little video and then give their feedback about something. Or
I wonder if there'd be a way to integrate that for peer reviews, so that when they have to watch, because I know with like with stats at the end of the semester, they have to submit audio visual presentation, either voice over PowerPoint or YouTube video or something for their project. And I make them review each other's, and they just comment in Canvas, but it would be a lot more interesting if they had
yeah, it'd be great.
that.
This is the first course, this 508, that I'm trying peer review. So I'm having students submit a presentation, PowerPoint with embedded video, and then they have to, they use a rubric to score 2 other students. Have you done that before?
What I did was I created 2 assignments. One's an assignment where they submit the PowerPoint or whatever presentation, and I grade them on the rubric there. And then I created a discussion where they post it, and then they're graded on responding. So just a couple of basically like discussion responses. So that way I kept the grading separate. But I haven't actually had them grade each other.
Yeah, I can't remember.
That sounds really interesting. I've been interested actually in a way of integrating that for the their, not peer reviews, but their where they evaluate their team members at the end of the semester as well, figuring out how to kind of integrate that. I've had some trouble with figuring out the best way to do that in as fair of a way as possible. So
for a group assignment?
Because that's one thing I've had issues with the last few semesters is students complaining that they're slackers. And so 1 or 2 people won't do anything, and then so.
Let me see, I'll show you what I just did for that. I created a rubric for this. So here's the peer evaluation, and so they evaluate their peers on a score scale of 1 to 5. And then, no, that's not what I want to do. I wanted to show you the rubric. And then for the,
my worry is.
Oh, here, it's right here. So I say peer evaluation, they get out of a total of 40 points, 5 points are based on the peer evaluation. So the average of feedback provided from the group members, because that happens.
I put that in as well, but my fear, I had one example where one student was being bullied by the rest. And so they all scored her really, really poorly, but she'd been communicating with me all semester about how they were treating her. So I already have plenty of evidence that, so I didn't mark her down. So that's my only worry is, you know, making sure that someone isn't getting arbitrarily dinged by group mates. So
Yeah.
I just, when I set up my courses this semester, I just decided to start integrating some individual portions into certain assignments so that it's obvious, that they're getting certain individual points. And then there's group points. So every assignment, they've got to do some aspect of individual and group.
Mhm.
It seems the only way to actually keep everybody accountable.
Right. Yeah, that's hard to overcome that.
But yeah, that's the only thing that I worry about those peer evals is, most students are trustworthy and most are kind and most are doing the best that they can. But I hate to have that one outlier where that one student
Right.
is mistreated.
Yeah.
Which is really sad. It's sad that we even have to worry about that.
Yeah, I don't know what we do about that.
Sounds like it was in one of my cohorts.
Oh yeah.
Probably, yeah, same program. So we can talk about that later when we're not on camera.
And then I'll let you guys know how the peer review came out. I think I watched a little video on it, and it showed that students are assigned other students randomly, and then I think I did it in this one. But I don't know how it works. Like after they submit this, do they get sent to other students' papers to review? So this is kind of, I'm just trying this.
Reviews, and I see their comments pop up in the speed grader.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know what it looks like on their end.
Yeah.
That's always kind of tricky, is what do they see versus what do we see?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if they see the other reviewers' comments, if they see my comments, or they can only comment themselves and only the students that did the work see everybody's comments. I have no idea.
Right. Yeah. I'll guess I'll find out this time. Okay. So you guys have any cool things you want to share?
Baby started smiling. Little itty bitty half smiles. He's almost to the full smile. So of course, I spent like an hour yesterday trying to get pictures of it.
He's not smiling on demand yet?
Not quite yet, almost there. But he's so sweet. He's very sweet personality so far. So we'll see, because my 2.5-year-old was a very sweet baby too, and now his favorite thing is to break things. So we'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah. A little transition in personality.
Yeah, definitely a big difference between my boys and girls.
Yeah.
I don't remember either of my girls ever purposely picking up coffee mugs and throwing them on the tile to break them, to watch them shatter. That's one of his favorite activities.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like a boy thing.
Oh yeah.
Oral, you have anything?
I did want to ask, I was looking at some of your titles of activities in your 508 class, and some of those look like lessons I would really love to see. If maybe you wouldn't mind sharing one of these days and letting me take a look at some of those resources you have, because my undergrad students sometimes really need a little extra help. So I'll talk to you about that later.
Okay, I'll add you to this one.
Thank you.
Let's come up.
Yeah, mine's really easy. It's an A.
Back?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know what role I gave you, but
I think it was student.
Student. Do you want a teacher role?
You could put me as observer or whatever, I think. And then if I can't see stuff, I'll let you know.
Wasn't there like on Sakai, a role it was like life coach or you something really strange?
Really?
There were some additional options.
Yeah, that's going a little far.
Yeah.
I'd say yes to that. Give me a life coach. Oh, I did want to share some, there was really this ethical issue that happened with me with this that course that I just showed you, research and theory. So I had a student last semester who flunked it, and she is taking it with me again. So she has access to that last semester course. So what do I do? So I asked IMT if they would remove her from the course, and then they were like, well, students have paid for that course, so you don't want to remove them, and you don't want to hide the course so nobody can see it, because that's one of the options. You can say students can't see the course after the end date. They said you can't do that either, because that's all, their property there. And I went into the analytics to see of the old course, and I saw the student on January 5th had been into the course, and I could see everywhere she had been in, how much time she spent in it. It was way more time than she spent in it the semester she was actually in it. And then her first discussion reflected a lot of what her classmates had written in the previous course first discussion. So I was like, is that okay? I'm like thinking, well, if she attended class in a face-to-face class, she would have been there. She would have been in this discussion, and she could have pulled that information and used it. I was like, I guess that's okay, but there was, she didn't plagiarize directly, but she definitely paraphrased a lot of what the other students used. So I was like, but Tom Wilson said, well, what is the purpose of this course? It's really to have students learn. So if she's going back and reading all this other stuff and then, synthesizing it and pulling it forward, she's learning. But there's one discussion where I have the students review everybody's EBP presentation, and that's worth 25% of the grade. And I was like, I don't want her to be able to do that, because she only attended the first 2 weeks of class, and then she was never in it again. So
I feel like have someone wait. So she dropped after 2 weeks.
She never dropped. She just didn't attend. And I sent her the EAF, and she's one of those students where it's never her fault. She's like, oh, I couldn't get into the course. I was having surgery. I, sent in my EAF and nobody processed it. I'm like, well, send it to me now, and we can do that and see if we can get you, she never sent it. So, she already has kind of this reputation with me. So I was just like, I didn't know what to do. But Tom Wilson said, why don't you just get in touch with her, say, I'm watching you, I can see you, so I know when you've been in that other course, and just lay it out for her that the goal of the discussions is to use original ideas, and so she should not take as much and from the other course.
If Canvas has something for this, or maybe we could suggest that they have a feature where if a student drops, they are only allowed to see up to a certain point in the course. So like at the certain point where they stop participating, anything after that is invisible to them.
Well, this was my solution. So for the first 2 weeks she was in the course. So I left those alone. For every other discussion, and I went in and I changed it that the student must participate in the discussion before you can see other people's discussions. Perfect. And then I changed the settings for the course so that the students can only participate between the course beginning and the course end date. So she couldn't go in now, write a little discussion, and then everybody else's would pop up. So I was like, all this work,
yeah.
So those were the things I did. And, I thought it was a really interesting case study.
Wow.
What can students get away with?
Yeah, exactly. Sharon told me, students cannot read other people's discussions until they post, that students were just going in and typing an I. Remember she was talking about that? And then they could go in and they could see everything. I was like, oh man, clever little students.
So could they still do that?
Yeah.
I think is there a way where you can't let them delete their own posts? Because then you have
I don't know. There is. Yep, in the settings to the course.
So if they can't delete their own post or edit their own post, then their first run needs to be it. And you could say, I will only grade the first thing you post. And if the first thing you post is then you get a 0.
Right, so here it's down in these additional options. Students can delete their own discussion posts. You could change that.
See, I say it all tough right now, and then I'm a big softie when it comes to
I
actually
know,
getting
me too, me too. I'm
Oh,
like, just let me give you a hug.
I accidentally hit enter.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, you know, they could do that, but you would just see that that's what they did.
As long as you give them fair warning. Look, I know that students have done this in the past. This is why we have these rules. So if you do this, there are no exceptions. Sorry.
Right. This counts as your initial post.
Mhm.
But then the other thing that I sent out to you, if you want the course to open up a week in advance. So
I didn't get a chance to look at that, but that sounds really interesting.
Yeah, so here I had them start December 29th, and then you just click this button. Students can only participate in the course between these dates. And then they can go in at this date, and it doesn't mess up, you know, your, if you pre-populated the dates that assignments are due, it doesn't mess any of that up. I thought it might.
Oh. Yeah, because that's a lot of work, fixing the deadlines every semester, and then if they get messed up, it's...
Yeah. I hear some little cuties in the background.
Yeah. He's watching his favorite movie right now, and he's just learning how to talk. Speech therapy is actually going really well.
Good.
He said cookie, so it's his first real clear word, but now he likes to babble at the TV. So at his favorite parts, he'll like yell really loud, like when he loves that part.
Good.
Loves TV, which is, we try to cut it down, but he loves it so much. He's got these movies that he's like big music, and he likes these big Disney production movies and stuff. So
I was just gonna ask, did you get your Disney Plus account yet?
I haven't. We've just stuck with Netflix right now. So holidays and maternity leave and everything being what it is, finances have been like, we're not adding anything new anytime soon.
Did you get it, Oral?
No, I have I guess a shared account with my brother-in-law. So when we're watching the nieces, then they get to watch Disney Plus.
Have you watched The Mandalorian?
I only saw one episode. I need to catch up. My wife's not into Star Wars, but she won't give it a chance. So one time I snuck it in there, and she found out like toward the end, is this Star Wars?
Oh, that's all
I
right.
give Mandalorian a shot. I quit the new ones after the first because I just like, this isn't the same. Sorry. I know some people have totally different opinions on that, and I'm like, I'm just gonna pretend the first 3 movies that were ever made are the only movies.
I saw the recent one. I liked it. Kind of tied it all together, and I thought it left
opposing viewpoints. Like you either loved it or hated it.
Yeah, I liked it.
Uh-oh, I hear a baby.
All right. Well, I think we're all set.
Hold on. I'll grab him. You can see him, and then I'll say bye.
Oh, he's making his first appearance on, at least in the committee meeting. What's the background? Are you in a?
I'm in an RV.
RV. Okay, I was gonna say that looks like a trailer window because I have a similar corner in mine.
Mhm. Yep. Kind of bright up there, but. Yeah.
You doing some camping?
I'm actually living in this for 3 months in Florida.
In Florida? Oh, nice.
Yeah. I'm helping keep my dad at home. He has Parkinson's disease and he's driving my mom crazy. So I'm caring for him part-time. I'm taking him to like his exercise courses and taking him to support group meetings. Oh, look at that little cutie.
He just woke up, and if he wakes up and I'm not instantly there, it's like the world is over.
Mommy.
Hey.
What's his name?
Leo.
Leo.
Leo
Leo.
Hunter. So we've got Gabriel Wolf and Leo Hunter.
Those are cool names.
Yeah.
Thank you. We liked him.
He
I'm not
looks
gonna
like
think
he's
that-
pretty healthy.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, this kid he's sleeping in a 9-month outfit today because I can't find any 6 months, and he's already too big for all of his 3-month clothes.
Oh my goodness.
Uh,
Let's see. Let's see that big old belly of yours, huh? Let's see. Big strong boy.
it's like, oh, big stretch. Oh,
Yeah, everything's bittersweet right now because I know he's my last one, and so every little hug and moment is like, oh, he's growing so fast. This is the last time, and I'm gonna miss it.
yeah.
Even though I'm exhausted, it's worth it.
That's what's so great about the difference between your first kid and then the last kids. You can really treasure the time, and you have so
Yeah,
much more experience. You're not so nervous about everything.
that's for sure. Yeah, by the 4th, I'm just like, yeah, no, I got this.
It's like, have you seen that babysitting commercial for like it's the first
Yeah.
babysitter like
Loves.
has this, brings the CV and everything. Oh, but you're not a PhD. And then with the second baby, she's like, does her nose pierced and looking all crazy. And she's like, well, I can't remember what she said, but you're fine. And she rushes out the door. I thought that
One
was
of my
so
favorites
true.
was the Love's commercial, and it said first baby, and she was sitting in a restaurant eating, and she was sitting on a chair hiding behind like a ficus and like trying to hide and breastfeed quietly. Second, it was second baby, and she's sitting at the table nursing completely out and with her toddler and talking to the waiter and like, oh, he'll have this, he's already ordered. It's so true. Like, I'm not quite that bold, but
Yeah.
but yeah, you definitely, once you get the second one, you're like, I need to be as efficient as possible here.
Right. All right, guys.
We have 50 minutes till the next meeting.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna need every minute of it.
All right. Well, it was great to talk with you guys, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah. We'll
So
see.
this will be recorded, right? This is
Yep.
recorded. And, we have the minutes. So should everybody read those articles that you posted in the minutes? Should we try and?
I don't know if there's just a subgroup wants to do that, or I can put them out there. I had trouble finding one of them. I was looking just before we started, but I can put the links to them. We can kind of read it.
Well, I will try to read them.
Okay.
I'll try very hard.
Yeah, we can see if it gives us any clues about, if these are the variables, this should be the class size.
Something that you don't have to be the instructor to know in order to be into the course, so that like we have criteria for leadership
Right.
to be able to kind of assess
Yeah.
what's
Yep.
being offered.
Yeah, and we can say, hey, there isn't one, guideline that's out there, but we're putting forth this guideline. Do you want to try it?
Okie dokie.
All right.
All right. See you guys.
All right.
next time.
Okay. Take care.
Everyone.
Bye-bye.